But anyway, when you beat Chronos, the game's not over. It's not over. Like you know, he's a Titan, which means something in Greek mythology. So he's going to regenerate. So you have to do other things to actually beat him. So when you beat him, you don't beat him. You beat him, the game's not over. Credits have not rolled for me. It's like you're going to have to, and they build it all into the plot of the game. You're going to beat him a bunch. You're going to fight quite a few times. It's episode 20 of the Andy B Show, a video game podcast for adult gamers, and I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for sticking with me. Who's been around since like the launch of this show besides me? Maybe you. If that's you, if you've been around since like the first burst of episodes of the Andy B Show, reach out to me. Throw me a message. Let me know. I want to celebrate you. Tell me about your gaming story. I'll feature you on a future episode. I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know in any of the comments, wherever you find me. Spotify, YouTube, Patreon, Apple Podcasts, and now Overcast FM. Some of you are out there on Overcast FM, though I don't know if you can leave comments on Overcast. I don't use it as a podcast platform, but I'm super glad you're here. Welcome. Thanks for celebrating episode 20 with me. It's actually a few more episodes than that if you include these special early access and bonus episodes that are on the patreon.com/the Andy B Show. You can find some extra content there that's both free and some of which is exclusive if you subscribe and support the show. Up to you. No pressure. You know, just one of the only independent podcasts out there that you can find. There's not that many of us. We're kind of a unique breed. Talking about video games, and I've been playing some video games this week, and maybe you have too. One of the games that I've been playing, maybe a little bit too much of. If you look at my sleep schedule, it's too much. If you look at how late I've stayed up every night, it's too much. It's called Hades 2. Talked about it a lot last week in episode 19, Hades 2 Moonlit Boogaloo. I'm not going to let Hades take over this episode as well. We kind of went over, you know, what Hades 2 was all about, but I just haven't stopped. The draw of Hades 2, where you're like, you know, let me go to the next room. I'll unlock this next reward. I'll have that fight, and then I'll save. It's a game that respects your time, and as an adult video gamer, it's important to have a lot of those. Games that respect your time are not few and far between, but it's less than you'd like. You know, we see battle passes that have expiration dates to make you have FOMO and focus on a certain game. Hades 2 is like, you know what? Here's the whole game. Enjoy it. And you can play it a little bit at a time. Every time you enter a new room, it saves your game. But there's just a little bit of things pulling you through all the time pulling you. So if you go to a new room and you fight the enemies there, then you get a reward. Maybe you get a story beat. Maybe you talk to a new Greek god in the pantheon or whatever, and it moves the story along just a little bit. And as soon as you do that, your character's like, well, what's next? And they might literally say, here we go, or next room, or whatever. There's always little dialogue prodding you on. And then you look at the next room and you have two choices, this room. And one room in Hades 2, a 2.5D action roguelite. I almost said platformer. It's not a platformer. It's definitely story-based. With excellent music and voice acting, and it runs at 120 frames per second on the Nintendo Switch 2 docked mode. It looks really good. They look at the next couple of rooms and they go, man, I got rewards in this room that maybe have valuables that I've tied a little string on my finger for, like a forget-me-not. Or I can go to this room, maybe it's more powerful reward, or maybe it's a story beat that I haven't seen yet, or maybe a character I've never met yet. So there's always a reason to go to either one of the rooms that they give you an option to go into. And you're like, well, let me just go to the next room, right? And you can see how the cycle's going to go. Let me just go to the next room. I'll try it out, you know, see what the reward is. And by the time you go through that, it's like, oh, it's one more room. It's only a minute, you know, 2 minutes to every room. Like, it's not that bad. And pretty soon you're coming up on a boss fight. And it's like, well, before the boss fight, I should save. I'll save. I'll go to bed. It's time for me to give it up. I'll go to bed. I'll do the boss fight tomorrow. But then you remember, well, every run is different in Hades 2. It's all unique, right? And so you end up building up a build of your character that has certain powers and benefits based on the boons from Olympus that you gather. And when you do that, you go, well, I have a certain way that my character plays and feels that's different than the last run. And if I go face a boss and forget kind of what, bonuses I had or what's special about my movement this time, then I may not do as well. So I should just go fight the boss. So you go fight the boss, you beat the mini boss or the guardian before the next big chunk of levels. And when you do that, you're like, well, I should go get all my rewards because there's a ton of rewards and challenge. And it just and all of a sudden you go till you die. Or in my case, you go until you beat the big boss at the end of the run, which is Chronos. And no spoilers to say that the big boss is Chronos, though there are two pathways to this game. There's down as you fight back down to the lowest level of Hades, which is where Chronos is hanging out at. But you can also go up. And they talk about this in the trailers. It's not a spoiler here, but you know how we handle spoilers on the show. You can almost say it with me. It's a mantra. We say, I can't wait to see how that happens. So if you get a minor spoiler from anybody, not just me, but anybody in the world, you just respond and say, I can't wait to see how that happens. Solves it. Now you're excited. Now you're not upset. Now you can have the conversation about what's going on in the show, the book, the movie, the zeitgeist, the game. And you don't have to like skip through the podcast and be like, oh no, I heard a minor. You just go, I can't wait to see how that happens. And of course, here on this podcast, the Andy B Show, I'll never purposefully spoil a game for you or tell you the exact ending or the twist. I'm not going to do that. But minor spoilers, you can't wait to see how those happen. It's real easy. So anyway, so the minor spoiler is, and it's not even, if you watched a trailer, it shows it. You go down to Hades. In the first game, you were at the bottom level of Hades fighting up out of, Tartarus and trying to get out to the overworld, trying to get to the surface to find your mother. And in Hades 2, you're kind of in the crossroads, kind of in the middle. You're not up at the surface. You're not down at the lower level of Hades, but you can go either way. You can go down to fight Chronos and or up to fight on Mount Olympus. So it's a two-front roguelike, and there's different enemies and threats and benefits and bonuses and characters by going up or going down. And sometimes you need to go up, and sometimes you need to go down. But it's a different feel every time. And so I've been rotating between them. But on the down, where the big bad is Chronos, I won't tell you who the big bad is up top. And I haven't beaten them yet. So I'm not sure if they're the final big bad, but it's clearly the one that's for the end of the top of Mount Olympus. But anyway, when you beat Chronos, the game's not over. It's not over. Like he's a Titan, which means something in Greek mythology. So he's going to regenerate. So you have to do other things to actually beat him. So when you beat him, you don't beat him. When you beat him, the game's not over. Credits have not rolled for me. It's like you're going to have to, and they build it all into the plot of the game. Like you're going to beat him a bunch. You're going to fight quite a few times. So definitely been playing some Hades 2, and too late and too much. But it was fun whooping it yesterday. Yeah, we got a great show for you today, folks. We've got some quick hit news updates. Got a couple of longer gaming stories I'd like to talk through. We have a totally new section for community spotlight that I'd like to talk about, where we're going to get kind of deep into the Xbox Game Pass price increases. Excuse me, it's not a community spotlight. The new segment, which I'll introduce later, there's a list involved. So look forward to that. Let's get into the quick hits, though. There's some news out there. Look, it is a big October if you're into video games. We're in Gamepocalypse. Gamepocalypse continues. It's not ending. It's not going to end. There's this list on Threads. You can follow me there at Threads, andrew.m.p, but I follow the PlayStation account and a bunch of you. There's a long list of games. They actually had to put a ... and more on this. They couldn't even write them all out before they got like character limited. So by the time you're listening to this show is going to release on Monday, October 6th. It's the day before that right now. It's Sunday, October 5th. That's when I'm recording this. But Ghost of Yote just came out a couple of days ago. Everybody on Threads is posting about it. And in just a few days, the end of this upcoming week, Battlefield 6 comes out. And you know what's not on here? Like I look at this list and I go, this PlayStation list isn't quite right. Because there's no October 15th on there, which is your host's birthday. And there's a special game coming out then. So who do you go to? Like, man, if PlayStation can't even write down all the stuff that's coming out, who can? Well, you've got to have some friends. We get by with a little help from our friends, as you know. And this is Victor, or Frizzale33 on Threads. We're mutuals out there on Threads. And he put this together. He photoshopped this. He said I spent too much time photoshopping it. And he created 2 graphics with game releases that he cares about in October. And I found a pretty nice overlap with the ones that I care about. So I said, I'd love to feature this on the show. He said, go for it. So here's the list that I care about. We didn't talk last week about Absalom, and we probably should. Did we? I don't think we did. Maybe we did. Ghosts of Yotei, Battlefield 6, Little Nightmares. I'm not into spooky games. They're too scary for me. I just, I might be in my 40s, but I don't need scary stuff. But Ball Pit, that's the one that comes out on October 15th. My birthday. You can wish me happy birthday. It's fun. Ball Pit already did because they set the release date for my birthday. I'll be playing Ball Pit. And there's Pokemon ZA. We'll see if that ends up on my kids' wish list. I'm not going to play Pokemon probably unprompted, but the kiddos like it. There's some other ones on here. Keeper, I think this is a Double Fine game. That one looks pretty good. Ninja Gaiden 4, we've talked about that a lot, about its difficulty. We talked about Dispatch a few weeks ago. Dispatch looks good. If you didn't listen to the show from 2 weeks ago where we talked about Dispatch, Dispatch is basically a Telltale game, which is an episodic, like 4 or 5 or 6 episode release. I think they're doing like 2 episodes every week for 3 weeks. So it must be a 6-episode release. And it follows a superhero guy that works for an superhero agency, but he lost his special suit. And like Iron Man, he's nothing without the suit. But actually he's also nothing without the suit. Like, he's not Tony Stark underneath. He's just a dude. And so he ends up without his special suit. He can't fight crime anymore. So he's going to go work the dispatch, aka the radio calls, to dispatch actual superheroes and maybe heroes that haven't busted their suits up out to fight crime. That one looks really neat. So you can go back and search for that. I'll try and figure out which episode that was. Put it in the show notes. Once Upon a Katamari. I love me some Katamari games. There's a new Katamari game. Like, let's talk. Outer Worlds 2 is the big Microsoft release. I guess it's going to be on Game Pass Ultimate. We'll talk about Game Pass here in a bit. I have a lot to say. A lot of people have had a lot to say about the Game Pass price increases, but I can't get into it here. This is the quick hit news section. And Mina the Hollower, which is like the new game from the folks that did Shovel Knight, which it looks okay. I don't know. Shovel Knight is no doubt like a classic game now, but it's designed to look classic already. Yeah, if you're really into Mina the Hollower and Hollow Knight, not Hollow Knight. I love Hollow Knight. Trying to remember the name of it. It's not Hollow Knight. It's another game. It's another game that kind of looks like a NES game. They tried to like target like NES style graphics quality, and it's just a little too lo-fi for me. But the music's good. Shovel Knight. Thank you for waiting for my brain to catch up. Shovel Knight. A couple other quick hit items. Speaking of things that are a little bit spooky, it is spooky season. I guess it's October. And there is a game that's a little bit spooky. That's a little bit spooky called Control. Control's been around for a while, but it's about to get an update that came out in March 2025 for the PC when it launched there, but the PlayStation and Xbox consoles are about to get it right now. So they had this Control Ultimate Edition update for the PC, and all that stuff is about to come to Xbox and PlayStation Ultimate versions for free. So it's a couple of suits, the Astral Dive suit, the tactical response gear, and the urban response gear. Things that were formerly like pre-order exclusives, they're like releasing them so everybody can have them. And again, if you were on PC, you've already got this. But if you're like me and you have this downloaded on PlayStation, there you go. There's a special mission that you get. All players will receive the Dr. Yoshimi Takui's guided imagery experience featuring voiceover by Hideo Kojima. What's poppin', Kojima-san? It was exclusive just to the PlayStation 4 Digital Deluxe version of Control. So the other versions are going to get that now. The big thing that's coming out with it, if you're somebody that's got a high-end television, is it's going to have HDR support, ultra ray tracing, DLSS 4, and it's coming. You're getting this upgrade for free. So if you're like, maybe I'm one of those people that do like a yearly playthrough of Control, cool. Like you're going to enjoy that. I never beat that game. I should get back to it. I really should get back to that game. Last quick hit item. I saw this one was, I saw this thread on Threads from Focus Entertainment, the publisher that famously has the "We make games for someone, not anyone" motto. And it is a Plague Tale legacy game called Resonance. So the Plague Tale games, there's been 2 of them. They're kind of like these it's not medieval games. Is it medieval? Like, yeah, I guess that feels like 17. When's medieval? Like 1200s, 1400s. Maybe the latest one was in the 17 or 1800s. I feel like one of them was in like America before it was America. But low tech age. And this one goes back even further. This is like a prequel called Resonance, and it kind of looked like some games that I like. It looks like it's around like Assassin's Creed Odyssey times, kind of. It feels like it's in almost like Greek mythology land. They're running through the forest. I was like, is that Cassandra? Like for a minute, I was like, wait, what is this? And it looks good. These are like super story-driven games. A lot of stealth, a lot of like your characters are kind of weak, but there's magic involved. So with rats, famously, which is why it's called a Plague Tale. One of the characters is special. They can control rats and destroy the plague, but it's a lot of like puzzle solving. But this one kind of looked a little more combat heavy. It looked like we got some combat, some running around. I listened to the trailer, and if you want some like just heavy breathing as people are running and exhaling, go for it. Listen to the trailer. But it looked pretty good to me as something like, oh, are they going to make not a third Plague Tale game where you're kind of running around in the dark, controlling these rats, trying not to get into fights. When Metal Gear Solid does stealth and you run around quietly in the dark, sometimes things open up, right? You get found and you start popping off and, you're fighting other soldiers and then you get it under control. Whereas the times I played the demos for Plague Tale, it was like, oh, when I get found out, like that's it. It's like a stealth section where you get found out and you have to just stop playing the game. And I didn't like that. This one looks like you might have some more options. Maybe there's some more stuff going on. I don't know. Thought that was interesting. What else is interesting? To me, we had the Tokyo Game Show hit, and I did not follow all the news out of the Tokyo Game Show. Some of this stuff that I'm going to talk about maybe has come out of the Tokyo Game Show, but I just let it rise up to the surface for me. Like if it doesn't rise up to the surface and get me super excited, just because it happens, then I'm probably not paying a ton of attention to it. This one kind of got me excited. This one popped up. It looked really good. And people were just saying, is this a new Chrono Trigger game? It's called Threads of Time, a turn-based JRPG with kind of that high def 2D, HD 2D pixel art. It's got time travel gameplay, so you're kind of like in the future, you're in the past, you're prehistoric, you're cyberpunk. It's got team combo attacks, an overworld map. I don't know. People were pretty pumped about this one, and it looks good. It looks like I don't think it's a Square game, but it looks kind of like these recent Square games that just have like a really beautiful art style that is clearly lo-fi and yet secretly very hi-fi. Like it looks like it's an old 16-bit game for a couple of seconds, and then when you look closer, you're like, oh, there's a lot of lighting effects on here that are very modern. So all the polygons might not be there. You might be purposely low poly, but it looks, It looks solid. So I'm keeping my eye on this one. I'm not sure when it releases. I just know it's on my list. Like it's on the like, oh, I'll pay attention to this, when it comes through. So that's Threads of Time coming announced. As far as I know, it's announced in the Tokyo Game Show. It says you can wishlist it on Steam and Xbox Series X. So maybe that's one of the ones that's going to make it to Game Pass. And which version? I promise you, we're going to talk about Game Pass here in a bit. But before we do, let's talk about EA getting bought out and taken private. EA gets bought and goes private. It's going to be acquired by PIF. Does that just mean private investment fund? Silver Lake and Affinity Partners for $55 billion. That's a lot of money. There's some quotes in here by people that are buying it. The investment embodies Silver Lake's mission to partner with exceptional management teams at the highest quality companies, and EA is a special company, a global leader in interactive entertainment anchored by its premier sports franchise, Zez. With accelerating revenue growth and strong scaling free cash flow. Y'all are buying some Ultimate Team packs, like a lot of them. We're honored to invest and partner with Andrew, an extraordinary CEO, the EA CEO, who has doubled revenue, nearly tripled EBIT, estimated before taxes, developments. The share price, and driven a fivefold increase in market cap during his tenure. Managing partner of Silver Lake, Egon Durbin says. So, they're buying them. They're taking them offline. They're giving shareholders in EA like a really nice all cash, all in hand type of payout. They're going to buy it out at $210 per share, which is a 25% premium. And it's mostly led by this like Saudi Arabian fund. So people are like, what's going to happen if Saudi Arabia is into like the Battlefield editorial system? Like what's Saudi Arabia going to write war stories about? Don't know. It's a 36-year run as a public company. And Steven Totillo's got the report out there talking to some people that work at EA. Steven Totillo is always out there writing on gamefile.news. Some of the quotes that he pulled out, anonymous quotes. I'm nervous. Layoffs usually follow those types of acquisitions. Yeah. If your company got acquired, you better button up that resume. Somebody said, quote, Andrew Wilson basically said, F you to all women and LGBTQ employees at EA with this deal. Saudi Arabia. Are they going to have the same inclusive work policies as they've been having at EA? I don't know. The next story is kind of intertwined. Like, is this, some people are saying, I'm canceling my Battlefield 6 pre-order. I can't possibly, buy from a company that's going to be owned by Saudi Arabia. And I'm like, well, I mean, if we're going to go down that path of like, we live in a society, we don't want to buy from people that, operate companies and countries in ways that we don't largely agree with, it gets weird fast because almost everything we touch has like oil or plastics, which are made from oil, as part of life. And there's a lot of oil that goes through Saudi Arabia. So it gets real squirrely when you try and take principled stands. I don't wish to, shame anybody that chooses to do that. I think that's fine. You want to cancel your Battlefield 6 pre-order because they got bought by a Saudi Arabia private investment fund? I'm not mad at you. You want to keep it despite them getting bought by a Saudi Arabian private investment fund? Not mad at you. You've got to do your thing as a consumer to do what makes sense to you. You got a bunch of the folks, bunch of your crew are planning on playing Battlefield 6, just buy it. Like, it's fine. It's too complex. It's very difficult to make like a principled stand on this based on the country that helped fund with 3 other investment funds buying EA. EA is only recently not been like lauded very profusely as the most hated company in the world. And if you already hated them, you probably weren't buying Battlefield 6 to begin with. So what's the difference? But if you didn't hate them and you're like, no, I love them, but now I don't. It's like, okay, I respect that. That's fine. Like, cancel the pre-order. No problem. It's okay. I'm definitely still buying Battlefield 6, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'm not buying the $100 version. Maybe I'll buy the regular version. That'll be my protest. I won't get the battle pass. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that changes EA. There's a lot of folks saying like, well, they've been constantly, if you remember Project $10, where they were like, hey, we'd like to have people stop buying and selling the games used, right? Because we don't get any money when you buy a used copy of the game. And they said, well, let's make Project $10, which is there's at least $10 worth of value. Like, maybe it's online play is a key that you have to buy and have access to and tie it to your account. Or maybe there's enough special stuff, or maybe there's a whole chapter of Mass Effect 3 that you get if you have the code that was packed in the box, but it's a one-time use code. And then somebody's going to have to buy that again. So every time they buy it, maybe we only get the $10, but at least we're getting the $10 out of the deal. And they called it Project $10. So you've had a company that has been public for 36 years, responding to the needs of the shareholders, and now they're going to take that private. And so what's the fiduciary duty? Well, it's not to the shareholder and stockholder in the public market that could sue you if you're not doing things that are like maximally profitable for the long-term health of your company, which is, you can argue about exactly what it is that's maximally profitable, but it takes a strong vision to say things that look profitable in this quarter are actually damaging to the business, right? We're going to cook the golden goose instead of just getting the goose that lays the golden eggs, instead of just harvesting the eggs, by squeezing your customers too tight, by taking advantage of them, by raising prices. Like, you might temporarily get a share price bump or a revenue operation bump, but you might be killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. And maybe if they're held by a private investment fund, maybe that won't be a problem. We'll see. But that leads us finally, which I've teased twice now, that finally leads us to the Microsoft Game Pass pricing overhaul, which by the time you're listening to this, if you care about it, you've already read several articles from, Microsoft explaining the price increases, from IGN complaining about the price increases, from the website crashing where you would cancel your Xbox game subscription and having that be a news item, to Ryan McCaffrey's opinion piece over there at IGN.com saying that this is Microsoft's greed, and that's how we're going to remember them, because of how they did this change to Xbox Game Pass. So what happened? Right? If you don't know, Xbox Game Pass is a subscription service like PlayStation Plus, but different. And what happens in Microsoft's Game Pass version that's different than PlayStation is, for up until Friday or Thursday or something, this last week, you pay $20 a month, and they had like 2 different versions. They had like Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and then like Core. I can't remember what it was, Essential. But they had like a high-end version and like a low-end version. And maybe they had a middle tier. They have 3 tiers now. We'll go over them a little bit. But the ultimate tier is where everybody's focusing. It's where everybody's talking about. Because for $20 a month, you would basically get a ton of benefits that we don't care about, and the number one benefit that we do care about, which was all of Xbox's games that were first party, published, produced. You would get them on day one as part of your subscription. which is a big deal when games cost $70 or $80 for some games. $80, or I can pay $20 a month and I can play the brand new game for no extra cost. Pretty good deal. If you care about the games they're making, and since Microsoft has been hoovering up studios, it's made more and more sense to be able to pay for that. If you wanted to play, let's say, the new Call of Duty for $20 a month, and Indiana Jones, and the new Doom, and the new, right? You can see how this is happening. If they have enough great games and enough great studios, then for $20 a month, you just get access to all of them. But the other shoe is dropped, which is somebody's got to pay for this acquisition from Activision Blizzard, King, in which they paid an incredible amount of money for the biggest acquisition in video game history, right? So everybody's been saying you have to come back and pay that off at some point. And when's it going to happen? The company spent upwards of $80 billion on studio and publisher acquisitions in the last few years. Who's going to pay it back? And are they just going to pay it back by selling more games on PlayStation and on Nintendo Switch because they're going to cross-publish games in PC? Or are they going to raise prices? Well, they tried to raise prices with the upcoming Outer Worlds 2. They said, that's going to be $79.99. And then they saw the pre-order numbers and they're like, what if it's just the same price as every other new game at $69.99? Yes, correct, Microsoft. You can't just charge $80 for a game and have it be pre-ordered in the same way. Turns out price still matters because we know it's not going to stay up at $80. And it's single player. You could probably get away with charging $80 for, Black Ops 7 maybe. Anyway, they raised the price on the $20 subscription to $30. That's a 50% increase. And if you've been alive the last 5 years and paying any subscription fees, you've noticed they've all gone up. They've all gone up. I'll say it again. They've all gone up. None of them have stayed still because the costs are increasing, and they have increased. But somebody says, well, a 50% price increase, that's just greed. And that may be true. But Microsoft is also a publicly traded company. So unless some Saudi Arabian fund buys them and takes them private, they also have to go, at some point, we're going to have to answer to the market. The shareholders going like, are we doing our fiduciary duty? And the way that you can evaluate whether they are or not is you can take a look at what the cost is for the competition to do the same thing. And there are zero equivalent services. There isn't a bigger publisher than Microsoft anymore. There isn't a publisher that has more studios. I don't know if that's true. It feels true. Certainly, there's nobody that has more Activision Blizzard studios. Get it? Because they bought them. So you're one of the biggest mega publishers in the world now because you've been hoovering up studios. And you had your own for a long time from some other, Forza and Halo studios and Gears of War. But now you've picked up the people to do, World of Warcraft and all the Call of Duty games and a bunch of other things. Skyrim, you picked up Bethesda as well, Doom. So you've got huge games, huge franchises. There isn't anybody else that can even offer the same amount of first-party games that could be day and date. So there is no competition to point to and say, well, here's the other people that are offering 12 massive studios per year producing games. They say they have 40 projects in the pipeline right now. There's no other publisher producing that many games of that size and scale and then offering a subscription to get it day and date. So there's no precedent to say that it should be $30 a month or not $30 a month. There isn't one. But there is a precedent for what a $15 a month subscription should look like. So if you were a $20 a month Game Pass Ultimate subscriber and you just got the price increased on you by 50% to $29.99, that sucks. You're not going to feel great about that. And they didn't add enough benefits to it. They just raised the price. And that's what really gets people riled up. But there's no stopping that. they know it's unique in the marketplace, and at some point they're going to have to charge for it and pay back the $80 billion that they've been spending on acquisitions. And it has to cost more. Here's the thing that people missed. And if you want to go to patreon.com/the Show, you will see my latest Gaming 411 article. It's a weekly newsletter that I send out for free. You just have to sign up and be a free subscriber only to get that. And I wrote what everyone is missing about the Xbox Game Pass price increases. It's a spicy title, I know. And the image is here, which is that there's now an essential tier at $10 a month. It says you get 50 plus games, and you get online multiplayer because us plebeians on console have to pay for that. And you get a couple other things, including the unlimited cloud gaming, which is pretty good. Like if you want to do streaming to other devices, like that's a nice feature. There's that top tier we talked about, $29 a month, $29.99 US dollars, and that's got 400 games. And they say 75 plus day one games per year, including all Xbox published games. So they said they have to price it at $29.99 a month, because look at this one in the middle. The middle one is actually the competitive price point, $14.99. It's the same price as PlayStation Plus. And the big differentiator is this. It says it's going to include all newly Xbox published games within 1 year of launch, implying that it could be less than a year. PlayStation is not competitive at that price point. And if you think that the Xbox published games are great games and valuable and worth it, this is actually a highly competitive offer. So I published this. People are like, "Oh yeah, but I'm still pissed about the $29." Fine, like you could be mad about that. The $29, I get it. You were at $19.99. They bumped you up 50%. They didn't give you anything extra. They just grabbed more money. But if they only had it at $5 more a month than this one, you would just stay there, right? So any big business, any individual should occasionally do like a zero-based view of their life and go, based on now, should I keep doing the same things I'm doing, or should I change something? And what should I do now? Not what I've been doing, not based on history, not based on the sunk cost fallacy of how much I've been spending to do something. What should I do today based on what I know and what's available to me? And that's what Microsoft did here. Is they said, based on today, if we evaluate this portfolio of these services for Game Pass, $14.99 a month doesn't compete, or it competes directly with PlayStation. The $29 has no competition. They might as well charge $50 a month. There's no, like, the people that want it are going to pay for it. There's some price elasticity, but there is nothing else out there that does that. So you either want access to all those games immediately on day one, or you don't. And the only high-end, like, upper limit to the pricing is they've charged you more than it makes a value for what you pay. This $15 a month is the competition with PlayStation Plus Extra. And the big differentiator here is not the unlimited cloud gaming, though that's important, where you can play games on different devices. It's this one. It's all the new Xbox published games come within a year of launch. PlayStation does not do this. And so I sent the list out. And I was like, if PlayStation, here we go. Here are games. I put the list out. Here's a list of games that were released but never added to PlayStation Plus Extra, or they were added after 12 months. Astrobot, not yet added. It was 13 months now. It came out September last year. Helldivers 2. It's been a year and a half. It's not on PlayStation Plus Extra. What if it was? For the same price you're already paying for PlayStation Plus Extra, you'd be like, man, PS Plus is crazy. I got Helldivers 2 and Astrobot. It's not on there. Rise of the Ronin. Stellar Blade, does that count? I don't know. Maybe my research is bad here. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. This is wrong. This just got added. I did my research help with AI on this one. I'm not sure it's right. This one's right. Gran Turismo 7, not added. It's not on PlayStation Plus, and that's been out for over 3 years. Now, why does Sony not do this, right? Because they're making money. And they like to sell the games, and the subscription services are like extra benefits on top for people. But that's not competitive with Microsoft. Microsoft has a better offer at that price point. It took 29 months for Sackboy, A Big Adventure, to come to PS Plus. 26 months for God of War, not 12 or less. Ratchet and Clank came after almost 2 years. Oh, there it is. The Last of Us Part 2 remaster. I got him in 2 spots. It got added after 20 months. Demon Souls, 19 months. Marvel Spider-Man 2, 15 months. Returnal, 14 months. Not bad. There's only one game that was added within 1 year, and it's the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, 10 months. And Horizon Forbidden West got added after a year, but they pulled it because they saw the sales drop and they went, we could be selling more copies of Horizon Forbidden West than we're getting revenue in from the subscription services. Sony does not do this. And they've had, I think, especially if you like single player games, arguably the absolute best single player game lineup in the last 5 years. But that is going to continue to shift as these Xbox game studios have come online and they're starting to get published under Microsoft's banner. They're going to have more and more and more. And if you're like me, where you can only play one game at a time, maybe a couple games at a time at best, but like to really dig in and try and finish one, you have to focus. There's so many games coming out during the Gamepocalypse that like by the time I get to some of these, it'll be a year. Some of them will just go down the list. I'll give you an example. Indiana Jones came out last year around this time. I don't remember exactly when. It's holiday last year, 2024. I haven't had time to play Indiana Jones. I would like to. Well, I bet it's on that $15 a month Game Pass subscription tier. Or if it isn't, it's coming soon based on their promise that within 12 months, it's going to be there. So people have interesting choices to make, including canceling their Battlefield 6 pre-order because, EA got bought by a Saudi Arabia private investment firm. You could cancel out of spite and hate of greed the Microsoft Ultimate Edition Game Pass. I get it. Or you can go, today, as, a rational consumer person, I go, do I want to play Indiana Jones? And what's the cheapest way for me to do that? Is it to buy it on sale or is it to pay $15 on Xbox if I have one of those? And I do. And I'll just play it there for $15. I'll play it for a month or two and I'll be out. And maybe I'll play some other things. So they have put that middle tier at a super competitive price point. And I don't think enough folks are giving them credit for it because they are rightfully giving them some crap for the rest. But what do you think? Like, did I get this wrong? Am I just simping for Microsoft over here? I don't own any Microsoft stock directly. Index funds only, baby. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments. Speaking of like games that I'm a little bit behind on, I'd like to introduce you to a new segment on the show, a brand new segment on the show called I Should Really Get Back to That Game. This new segment on the show is in part listener requested. I've gotten some show feedback from folks that are like, oh yeah, are you going to do a game of the year list? And it's like, yes, I'm absolutely going to do a game of the year list. It's coming. It's October 5th. So I've got a little bit of time. I'll try and have them hit late December, the list. I'm going to reach out to a couple of friendlies that I know on Threads and TikTok and see if they want to maybe do some collaborative, top 10 game of the year list. If you're listening to this, you know who you are. And if you don't, send me a ping and go, am I that person? Because you might be. If we're mutuals on Threads, we've been talking a lot and occasionally in some DMs about video games and content creation. You're probably going to reach out to you. So this is your heads up. Anyway, I think it would be neat to do like a running list. I'm constantly telling myself, as well as you all listening and the sound of my voice, I should really get back to that game because there's always things happening. And I think it would be cool to have a list. So I made a list. This is bold. You're really not going to believe it. I made a list. It's impossible. I just did it in a Google Sheet. And the name of the list is, I should really get back to that game. Same name as the segment. And I'm just going to update it every week based on what's going on. And it's a list of games. And we'll see how it goes. But for 2025 at least, this is the list of games. I just had to start it somewhere. I put 5 games on the list. And based on priority order of how I feel likely to get back to the game next, I've got them ranked, and the ranks will change every week based on what's going on. I might change the ranks, some of them live on the show, or I might, add a few things. So I'll try and do some type of I'll get fancier with this sheet at some point. Maybe I'll add ranking changes, columns, or something like that. We'll see how much I care about it and if you care about it. But here it is. The number one game that I should really get back to and that I'm very like to is Hades 2. I'm probably going to go play it as soon as I'm done recording this episode. I'm probably going to go do another run. Believe it or not, Super Mario Wonder is number 2. I've been playing that one with my youngest little bee. She's wanted to play Super Mario Wonder like nearly every day. She's like, can we just, before bedtime, can we get in a level? So we're like on the third world in Super Mario Wonder. It's a great platformer game. It's every Mario game is kid friendly, but this one works really well with co-op. And so the likelihood that I'm really going to get back to that game is very high. And then it's Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight I stopped playing when Hades 2 came out, and I should really get back to that game. Battlefield 6 is on the list at number 4 because it's coming out this week. It's highly likely I'm going to play it this week. And the last one on the list right now is Ghost of Tsushima, not Yote. And the reason why is, if you listened last week, the new PlayStation Rewards program is going to give you exclusive merch purchasing opportunities if you beat that game. If you roll credits on it, you can buy a special t-shirt that's designed in conjunction with the developers. It looks really nice. And I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. Based on the one shirt I've bought from Destiny 2 for doing the same kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to it. If you platinum it, you can get this special pen. I'm not sure if I'm going to get the pen. Anyway, there's more games that I've played. But what I'm going to do as I keep going is I'm going to, when I play new games, I'm going to add them to the list, and I'm going to rank them on here based on, I'll just add, I'll insert them into the list somewhere based on how likely I am to get back to that game. And if I feel I should really get back to that game, then I'll probably put it pretty high on the list, which will inevitably push other games down on the list. And my thought is maybe this is just a running list to keep for the rest of time, or maybe it's just one that maybe we do a new one every year. I don't know. But I think it's kind of neat. So if you're tracking games in any way, if you're like finding some way to, have them make sense to you, like where was I? What was I doing last? Like there's a game I should really get back to. Do you track it anywhere? Like, or do you just go like, I'll just forget about that for 4 years and then come back around to it like Hollow Knight, when the rest of the community does? I don't know. Yeah. So you've heard a bunch from me today on the community contributions, people, wanting to like share their opinions on Game Pass, how it feels. There's people that are speculating this morning as I'm recording this, like, are they going to make new Xboxes? There's a rumor out there they're not going to make them, despite what they said. We'll see. If all we talked about was the gaming rumors, we'd never get anything done around here. But let me know what you think. Are you going to change the way that you subscribe to Xbox Game Pass or not based on these changes we talked about today and what Xbox announced? Let me know. Go to the Patreon, patreon.com/The Andy B Show if you want to get the Gaming 411 newsletter every week. We talked about that one today. You can get that for free. You can also subscribe to support the show and get exclusive episodes. And I'd love to thank my listeners in a brand new country. It's not a new country. It's a new country for me to thank them on the show. 0.2%. Just a couple of you of my audio podcast listeners are in Burkina Faso, which is in Africa. I know a few people from Burkina Faso. So Aman, if you're out there, say what's up. Like, leave me a comment, brother. I hope you're doing well. I don't know if that's you or if it's just somebody else out there in Burkina Faso. But it's super cool to have you out there listening. Hello. I've got on my shelf up there, I've got a thing from Burkina Faso that Aman brought me. So, miss you, brother. Also, only and newly 2.1% of my audio-only listeners are on Overcast FM. So I signed up, I put the show, made sure the show was like synced up to Overcast FM, and y'all are listening out there. I think that's really neat. So I need to get the show registered on more platforms. I need to put it on iHeartRadio and Amazon Music and all that stuff too, because I signed up on a new platform and people are listening, which is really neat. So thank you for listening. So really super appreciate it. Yeah. How about you? Are you playing Hades 2? Are you canceling your Xbox Game Pass subscription? Are we going to see each other in a Battlefield squad like at the end of the week? I hope so. Let me know what you're doing in the comments. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week. See you next time. Bye.